Good morning, folks. Today is May the 11th, and that date is not important. It's just a way for me to keep track of these videos because, as you know, I've been having trouble editing and posting these videos on YouTube. So that's just a way for me to keep track of them, keep everything in order. All right, where we are so far. This is what Carnage is looking like now. Oh, you know what? Speaking of Carnage, I think it's finally time to admit it, folks. Manny is gone. So from this point on, I will be referring to this figure as Carnage and not Manny. May Manny rest in peace. It was nice knowing him. So this is now the statue formerly known as Manny. Let me introduce you to Carnage, folks. And this is what he looks like now. As you can see, I still have a little bit of work to do on this. The feet. I'm trying to decide if I want to try to make him some toes or just go with it like it is right now and paint it and leave it like that. Now the seams. I think in the previous video I talked about the seams. The seam on the leg, I'm not going to bother with that. If anything, what I will do is get something the same color, get something that color red right there, maybe paint a strip of tubing, you know, that thin rubber tubing, maybe paint that the same color and then just insert it into the seam. Okay, the wrist, I just did a repair job on that wrist yesterday, and that's clay right there. The white stuff is clay. I'm waiting for it to dry to see how that turns out. If it still doesn't work, I'll do the same with that. Get a thin piece of rubber tubing, paint it red, and just insert it into there. Okay, that wrist is fine. The waist. What you see now is a combination of tape, clay, and hot glue right there at the waistline. And that is there to cover the seam. I'm still undecided on whether I want to keep it like that or use the rubber tubing method on it. I still want to think about that some more, but what I don't want to do is finish this project and then later on decide, hey, I don't like the way the waist looks, so I want to change it. Once I'm done with this, I want to be done with it. So I got a little time to figure that part out. Okay, the the shoulders. I've attempted several times to conceal those seams up there. I keep calling them seams. Are they gaps? I guess it could be either one, right? Okay, whatever. And I don't think none of those methods are working, so I will probably go with the rubber tube method up there also. I just don't like the way they look. And keep in mind that if for some reason I have to dismantle this statue, I want to be able to do that. That's the reason I am not permanently attaching the arms, the legs, or the waist, well, the torso. So that's the reason for that. I wish I was in a position where I could know for sure I would never have to take this apart and I would just leave it together and I would just attach all the parts permanently, but that's not the case. Okay, let's talk about this hand. I'm still working on the hand. It looks really bad right now, but I think that's going to come together. I just got to give it some more thought, do some more research. I've researched the hell out of everything I've done on this project because this is the first time I've done something on this scale. And a lot of the methods that I'm using, this is the first time I've used them. So I'm going to research that some more, make a final decision on that hand, and then I'll be done with that hand. All right, let's see. Okay, let me get up out of my squeaky chair. Hold on. Okay, the face/head. Don't know if you can tell, but the right side of his head is not the same as the left side. I think there's more clay on his left side, and I've tried to balance that out. I don't know if I want to continue trying to balance it out or just leave it as it is. Unless you know, or unless you're just looking at it real close, you're not going to see it. So I don't know if I want to mess with that. I might make a good thing worse. Now, what's really concerning to me is this area right here. If you look at this side, then look at the other, hold on. Let's do it like this. There we go. You look at it right here, and then look at the other side. Enunciate, Patrick, enunciate. Look at the other side, you will see a difference. Also, I attached the lower jaw yesterday with some hot glue. All inside here and underneath, there's hot glue holding this jaw in place. This right here is clay, by the way. So this part and this part were attached with hot glue, and I didn't notice it at the time, but this side of the jaw right here is lower. Okay, I'm back. This side of the jaw is lower, so I can't live with this. So what I'm going to do is heat up this hot glue on this side, raise this jaw up so that it's even with this jaw right here. I just don't like that. I can't, no, I got to do better. All right, let's talk about his dental work. If you saw the earlier videos, you know that the teeth were one solid piece, one mask, and I cut it in half this way and I cut it this way to make it 4 pieces. So now, since I split it, I have to replace the teeth right here, or fill in the teeth rather. That's the purpose of the toothpicks. That's just something to support the clay. I'm going to use clay on these and try to fashion some teeth for him for the front. Okay, and something else I've done recently is I've sketched out the eyes. You can probably see that up there. Once I applied clay here, I kind of covered up my little sketch of the eye, but the eye line is going to come down here and up to this area right here and around. All right, let's talk about some things I am not liking right now, and that's his profile. I don't like the way his teeth extend out from the rest of the face, but at this point, there's nothing I can do to correct that short of totally redoing his mouth, and I'm not going to do that. What I tried to do was add a little bit of extra clay here to kind of extend it so that it doesn't jut out so much. If you can see right there, it's sticking out from the face. So what I may do is add a little bit more so that the clay comes out like that and kind of rounds it off a little. I don't know, I'm still thinking about that. I don't want to make him look worse, but the way I'm looking at this, folks, a lot of people are not going to look at it from the side. Hold on, let me show you the other side. And for some reason, and I haven't quite figured this out yet, but from this side, it doesn't look as bad as from the other side in my eye. I don't know why. Okay. Maybe I'll never figure that out. It's an enigma. It's a paradox wrapped in an enigma. All right, so let me see. So yeah, I'm still thinking about that. And I do have to add more clay. Where am I? There I am. I have to add more clay. There I am. Okay, I keep losing my finger. I'm going to add more clay to all of this here. Smooth this out a little bit. Fix the teeth. And I still have to paint the tongue in this area of the mouth. The inside of his mouth is a mixture of black, orange, and red. I think I'm going to go with those colors and just leave it like that. Let me see, what else? All right, let's see. I'm trying to think of something to give more. Hold on. There we go. I want to do something more with the back. I don't want it to be just plain. Right now, there is nothing going on, nothing exciting going on with the back. Let me see. So I'll try to think of something. Now, I do have one little surprise for y'all. I'm not going to say what it is right now as far as the overall project. It's going to be a nice little touch. I think you will enjoy it. But again, let me get back on topic. The back. I don't know what I can do except maybe put a couple of tendrils back here. That's about all I can do. And I'm not going to get crazy with the tendrils since this thing is already so big. I don't want to add tendrils and I think it'll be a little bit too much. So a couple of smaller tendrils probably would be just right for this. Let me see. Well, that's about it for now, folks. Let me see. This is from where I tried to conceal the seam right there, but again, it's not working out right. I'm going to call this a wrap, folks, so make sure you stay tuned. There is more coming. This project is almost done. So I hope you continue to watch the channel, support the channel, and I'll see you soon. Bye. Well, hello, folks. You're probably wondering what's going on here. No, you did not tune in to the Home and Garden or Home and Hearth channel. This is still Comics and Collectibles, and I am Patrick. And guess who's coming to dinner? Let's find out. This is our guest tonight, Carnage. And Carnage is in the house tonight, or I should say today, still daylight. Because for the last 2 to 3 days, it's been overcast, it's been raining, and it's been cool in the garage. I applied some clay to his head and face, into a couple of other areas, in particular the hand and that wrist, the left wrist. And it's taken it a long time to dry under those damp conditions. So I moved them inside where it's warmer, and hopefully it will dry up a lot quicker. I don't want to apply any more clay to the face until that dries, because if I put some more clay over that before it's completely dry, it's going to take that even longer to dry, and it may not dry completely, and then it's going to crack. So things are kind of on a pause, but I have done a few things since the last video. So let me move around to the other side of the table and I'll talk more about that. And I forgot to mention today is May the 12th, I believe. I'm sure it's the 12th. And that date is really not important. It's just for me to keep track of these videos because I am still backlogged. I was just looking at my videos. I have either saved on my computer or on the YouTube app. I mean, not the app, but, saved up on YouTube. And I must have a good 12 or more videos. So what I have started doing is splicing multiple videos together to make one episode. In the past, I would splice 2 together. But now, just try to catch up. I'm splicing more together to to get these things done. That does mean it might take me longer to edit if there's some issues with these videos, but I'll just have to do it this way or I'll never get all these things uploaded and posted on YouTube. And yes, I'm still having problems with the YouTube editor. I guess I need to call somebody because this has been going on too long. I thought it would fix itself after a while, but it hasn't. It's been a couple of months now. So I'm going to have to start looking into that. All right, now back to the project here. As you can see, Carnage is sporting his red skin now. And I think I am done with the paint job for the most part. I still have to do his feet. Still trying to decide if I want to give him toes or just leave it like that. I also have to work on a base plate. That's what all that mess is down there between his legs. That's going to become his base plate. Let me see. And that wire you see hanging, that's going to become one of the well, I don't think it's going to actually be a tendril. Well, maybe a small tendril, yeah. And he will have a couple of other tendrils on him, but they won't be real big. I don't want to distract from the figure itself with all this extra stuff. Also, his claws. I'm a big Freddy Krueger fan, and I'm trying to give him some Freddy-like claws. I don't want him to be exactly like Freddy because we know Carnage does have his own type of claws. So it's going to be, I guess, kind of a cross between Freddy and Carnage's own claws. Let's see. Okay, I still have to shape those fingers. Those fingers are made from hot glue and some clay. Going to shape those, put some more clay on them, shape them again, and then call that hand done. Let's see. And if you look right there at his shoulder, in that gap, there's something hanging out. That is some of that plastic, or is it rubber? Some of that rubber stuff you put on your screen when you repair your screen. I was using that to try to fill the gaps, and I think it might work. But where I went wrong was I glued it to the shoulder. Hold on. I glued it to the body, and then I attempted to put the arm on. It was a tight fit, so the arm would not go on. So what I'm going to do is remove it, place the arm on, and then just squeeze that into the seam. And hopefully that will fill that gap right there, and it won't be too noticeable. And that goes the same for the other shoulder also. Now those two wires, those are going to be some small tendrils coming up out of his back. Oh, and in case you're wondering, the string is just there to keep his arms from falling off when I move him around. Let me see. Okay, let's move again and we'll talk about his head. Okay, up close and personal here. Don't know if you can see in his mouth with the lighting in this room, but hopefully you can. And for the most part, the inside of his mouth is done. There's some orange, black, and red in there. And hold on, where's my finger? There it is. I've applied some clear gloss to the tongue. I think I'm going to give it a couple more coats to make it more slimy and shiny and glossy. Also, right here on this part of the mouth, I'm going to put that, I don't know what it's called. It's that fleshy type stuff that's on Carnage that comes down here. So I'm going to put some of that here. That's going to fill that gap. Let's see, same on the other side. Have to put some right there. And I'm still debating on whether I want to give him an inner row of teeth to fill in some of that emptiness. Maybe, maybe not. I'll think about it some more. Okay, and Okay, I got my table right behind me, so I can't back up too much. Let me see. And I have to, man, it makes him look like he has a nose. I have to really, I have to flatten all of this stuff out right here, or smooth it out rather. He just doesn't look right. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to add some clay to all of this here stuff right here. I have to add some more to that side to make it even with the other side of his head. And hopefully I can get that done in the next day or two if the weather warms up. Oh, and by the way, my procedure for lifting this side of his jaw was successful. Don't know if you can tell, but I warmed it up yesterday, and then I had to push this up and give him this some type of brace to hold it in place while the hot glue cooled off. So that's good. I still have to do his teeth. That's what the toothpicks are there for, just to support the clay. All right, folks, and that's it for now, I think. Hold on 1 minute. I just wanted to take a look behind him to make sure I was not forgetting anything, but there's not a lot going on. Cut, take two. There is not a lot going on behind him. I just have to touch up the paint a little bit and I guess work on these tendrils because that's part of his back. And that's it, folks. Carnage is almost done. I'm figuring another couple of weeks and just to tighten up a few things, finish up a few things, and going to call this project done and I can move on to the next one. All right, so I'm going to call this a wrap for now. Make sure you stay tuned, folks. Thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting the channel. More coming soon. Bye.